Are you ready to turn every conference and networking event into a powerful source of connections and referrals for your business? Welcome to Master Conference Networking. I'm Catherine Brown, founder of the Good Humans Growth Network. Here, we will unlock the strategies to build an authentic, profitable network from the events you attend. Join me and our expert guests to transform your interactions and maximize your business development. Stop feeling overwhelmed and start strategically building your best network, the Good Human Way. I'm so excited to introduce you to my friend, Michel Privé. Michel will introduce himself in just a moment, but I'll remind you that what we're covering is we're talking about conference and trade show best practices. There's so many opportunities that we get to go to these things, but we don't always do them well. And so in this series, we're interviewing business owners as well as business development or sales leaders who attend a lot of these events and talking about how to make the most of these experiences. So Michel, welcome. Thank you. And would you introduce yourself to our listeners?
Hi, Catherine. Thank you for having me. My name is Michel Privé. I'm the founder of Sales Leadership Impact Consulting, powered by Sales Acceleration. We are helping business owners in their sales management challenges when they grow too fast, not enough, when they need to scale, when they need to acquire as well. And we are based out of Houston. We have been doing that for a while already.
Amazing. Great. Thank you so much for being here. So I'm going to guess that before you went into business for yourself, as well as with your consultancy now, you have had your fair share of trade associations, conferences, chamber events, networking events, right? Could you estimate, Michel, how many of them you must have been to in your career?
I'm lucky to have been able to go all over the world. We've had conferences as well. We are here in Houston. One of the largest show is OTC. And during the last year of my time at Teledyne, I was organizing the whole booth. And it was already, it was also, we had 2 weeks at the stadium. And we worked on the strategy, in fact, to capture our audience at trade shows. And that was planned a year in advance. And obviously, with trade show comes discipline and preparation.
No
And
kidding. Yeah.
yeah, and that makes a complete differences. Wherever you go, you just walk the show, or you think you walk the show. But as a sales leader, you can go to a trade show with me. If you don't plan it, it was the pre and the post planning. And that would be justifying if we're going to have a booth or if we're going to be walking the show. The meals that we have during the show, we have a lot of people traveling at the time. This is the best time to capture your audience as well. So yes, and it has been that discipline in between bracket that you need to reinforce sometimes with salespeople. It's not only, the conferences, even at sales meeting, you have to plan those events. It's very important.
So I think a strong sales leader like you learns over time, like you're describing, you're learning that you actually want to go into these events with a strategy. Many times people, especially those in the Good Humans Growth Network, we have a lot of people who come in who had a different role, maybe did an early retirement from corporate or just were ready to do something different. And they actually haven't sold themselves. They haven't had to promote their own brand. They haven't had to sell their own services. They're very strong in their own right with the discipline of the product that they created or the service they provide, but they actually are now going to attend events in a different capacity. So whether it's one of the GHGN events or it's a chamber event or your trade association or the conference your clients go to, I love that you're saying when you were an executive at Teledyne, you actually were on the presenter side, organizing the booth, thinking about making the most of those opportunities and how to capture the attention of your buyer when they were away from the office. So you've really seen it on all sides of the perspective, it seems like.
Yes, and you got obviously what you achieved during those events, and that's for the new ones that just started the consulting business, is that we don't sell anything in those events. You serve, and you have to come into a very different mindset You are here to either build, create new relationship. This is like a seduction thing, for the new friends you're going to be meeting, your targets that it could be. And it could be building up the relationship from calls, from meetings that you had in the past. It would be reconnecting with others in the relationship. The reason why I keep going to OTC, I'm just using OTC here, is that to see friends who are traveling from all over the world. I
Mm,
know they will be there. I
mhm.
don't know if, I will be serving them. I will be, and the approach is different than selling. You don't sell, you
Yes.
serve, and you approach them with that mentality. It will be respected, and you would have a much better chance to have someone hearing what you do. You would know from the others what they do. And one of the key things in the planning as well, I'm coming back to my engineering planning, is about identify ahead of time. And that's the beauty of what you do with this conference, is that when you come in early, you go to Slack and you know who signed in. Who are those people?
Yes.
Are they calling the same clients as I do? Are they calling the same buyer persona as I do? And you can, prepare, your strategy of who are going to be speaking, prepare my fishing line. I don't
Yes.
know, my fishing line, and be ready for, a second sentences. That makes you pretty efficient, when you
Yes.
plan it. And it could be just a conversation like what you and I do, because you can deter, what would be a good referral partners, what will be a terrible referral partners right from the get-go.
Yes. Well, one lesson that Michelle's identified is prepare. So that preparation will include everything from if it's available to you to know who's going to be there, you want to be there, then you arrange for those meetings. And another that I heard you say, Michelle, is that you expect to serve. You're not going to do any selling at the event. It would be extremely unusual for that to happen, kind of exception to the rule. If your heart is to connect with people, I would even argue and build on that, saying that one of the things that makes me proud of what happens at our events is that I've had brand new people tell me that when they signed up last minute, let's say they were not able to attend a lot of pre-conference activities and they signed up last minute, they show up, they know one person or no persons. And within 1 minute of being in the room when the general session starts, people are saying, tell me about you and who do you want to know? And walking them over and introducing them to people. So that's really like another next level of service, is seeing yourself as a connector, saying, what would it be like for me to make sure another person here has a great experience? That positions you uniquely. You are a connector. You are adding value. You're being a kind person. You'll be perceived as a good human. And that makes you remember, because for the rest of time, as that person gets more and more involved in the network, they're going to say, Michelle was the person who took me around and introduced me to people. And, someone who is very self-oriented might think of that, Michelle, or hear that story and think, well, that was valuable networking time. That session was only 30 minutes. And I spent that time, babysitting that person or looking after that person. But we have a long view, right? We have a long view of what it should be like. So, can you think of, just thinking about this question of optimizing, making the most of the time? Can you think of a time that you built a relationship with someone through an event that turned out to be a relationship that delighted you, surprised you, paid dividends years down the road? Does anyone pop to mind?
Well, I will be responding to you, Catherine. And I'm just not saying that because it's you interviewing me, but we met really at the Growth 2025. And even if that was the conference, you are the MC, I had the opportunity to see how you operate. And
Mm,
we have common friends, obviously, and Jason Lee, who are, dear friends of us, and see how we serve, organize the meetings. We learn more about, do I really want to be with that person, and is it complementary or not? And then we had subsequent meetings, and it turns out, I joined Dealflow, a part of the organization as well, and got a customer through that process. We are working on activities potentially together,
mhm.
and this is exactly the right returns. What what to expect, but you should not be expecting what our relationship, I consider that it went pretty fast.
It actually was pretty fast, yes. So to recount that for people who might not know the event, the order was Michelle and I had some similar friends. They said, "You should go to the conference." He contacted me or attended. We either did a one-on-one or you attended one of the Ask Me Anythings, but you came to a conference. I remember that you came up to me actually, and this is a pro tip, y'all, for people who, if you really want to express appreciation for the person who put the event together, Michelle pulled me aside before my last time on stage and said, "I know it's going to be very busy for you when this ends, and I want to make sure I mention to you what I appreciated and what I thought was good about this," and really sought me out. I said, "Do you have to leave now?" And he said, "No, no, 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 no. I'm staying, but I know what it'll be like for you later." And see how I remember that, like, we didn't rehearse this part of the interview. I remember that you did that. I thought that was so kind. So then he's saying, through another person we both knew, a little bit later, we had another opportunity to meet in person. He's gotten more involved. Now we're brainstorming of things to build and do together, which you'll hear more about in the future as, two sales training lovers coming together, to serve the community. And so one of the things I wanna hear want the audience to hear us say when you're talking about this idea of service is also this principle of longevity. Like, you have to have a long view and understand that a great referral partner is going to need the care and nurturing just like a big buyer would. Most people don't, even with a referral, a huge deal doesn't often get done as a one call close. You have to talk to them multiple times. You have to add value. They might have to follow you for a while. And similarly, we want to have a long view about the relationships. When we think short term in that moment, and it will force us to act in a more transactional way because we feel desperate and grabby because we're scared that if we don't make the most of this opportunity, then it'll go away. But what happens is then you turn people off because you're acting weird.
I concur with this, is that's the difference between selling and serving. It's truly, the difference. When you have your own practice, you don't have clients, you don't have people who trust you, you meet new people. It takes quite a lot of times to trust someone. You have to see them in operations. They have to have their reputation, obviously. You have to be referred by someone, even not as a client, but as a referral partner, someone that you want to be associated with. And, like most of the people here and listening, we only have one reputation. We can't fail. We can't. If Catherine is introducing me to a prospect or clients or referral partners, I can't fail Catherine. It's so important. And that's what most of the people, in fact, forget to mention in our consulting industry, is that we generally are the alternative to a full-time employee. The full-time employee would be seeing what the business owners sees as a consumable, I got to change job and move on.
Mm,
And then after that, I tweak my resume or anything. That we can't do this.
right.
We have to stay, professionals. We have to give the maximums. We have to be doing good for our referral partners. So this conference here, that we are about to go, is that you're going to be meeting existing friends, new friends, and obviously this is not a transaction, and that makes a huge difference.
So, Michelle, because of your years selling, I think that you and I have a framework of what these little side meetings look like at conferences. But if a person has never been trained on a strategy on a trade show, they really might not understand that there's not just what's happening in the room. There's the meetings you've arranged to have catch-up conversations, or maybe you meet someone in a pre-conference networking event, so you want to have a secondary conversation. It's actually the coffees, the networking lunchtime, making a decision to spend some time after the conference in an evening with someone, making a point to sit next to each other so you could pass notes, right? It's those things that create repeat opportunities to be together and actually showing up unprepared, not having studied the list if they release the attendees ahead of time, not knowing who the sponsors are, not being prepared to go have conversations with them, and then just kind of walking through the motions. There are all these missed opportunities. So Anything else you want to share about a success story where you feel like you squeezed all the juice out of that possible opportunity, while you were there? I feel like you have a unique perspective because of the years where you have identified as a sales professional. And I think that a lot of people just don't approach conferences the same way as we do as sales professionals.
Well, I'll try to a short story. I got clients that's the mentoring the clients that I'm helping to sort out some business difficulties. What he's selling is a tool, a physical tool that goes inside, it's a directional tool. At OTC, I was checking my email and I went into a corner close to a booth. And at that booth, they were selling a drill bit. So this is what you put just before the tool here. And the
Okay.
sales lady, she saw me checking my email and she started talking to me. That led to a discussion. I've got the business card right there. To the CEO is the owner, and he is in fact trying to market the product exactly the same market that my client. It's a pure coincidence. And like my clients try to raise money at different scales for different reasons. And I started to, I introduced themselves together. And when my client went to visit Europe, that was last month, he didn't only talk about his own tool, but he talked about the drill bits from that supplies there. The discussions that turn out, and once again, there was nothing for me. It was, and I'm not expecting anything from that drill bit company, but that's the mindset of
Yeah.
what more can I do? And that was a 5-10 minutes discussion.
Mhm.
And that's a true story. My client is in Kuwait at the moment. I'm sure, if he would recognize himself.
Oh, right. If he hears this, he'll know you're talking about him. So, okay, so Michelle is saying at the Offshore Technology Conference, which is this huge oil and gas conference that's in Houston every year, you went for a variety of reasons, but one of the opportunities that you saw was to transition a conversation that the person running the table, running the booth made with you, where you realized that they were going after the same market and had so much overlap with a client that you serve. And so you might have been wanting actually to finish your email, but you stopped what you were doing. You made that connection. You realized that that was going to be very valuable to someone else. And now there's some type of cooperation that's happening with a bundling or a sell through or something, that it was this future relationship that's been developed out of that. That reminds me, Michelle, that in one of our last major conferences in the Good Humans Growth Network, we like when people sign up early enough, they can get inside a Zoom networking pod. And what we do is I start with AI, but then I use my brain and I really do review the whole list. And I think, who do I know for sure doesn't know each other and who would have the right kind of overlap that could meet before we even go? So you have friends in the room when you show up. This is one of the things that's special about the way we do things, is that we try to help people feel comfortable before they go. Well, one of the things that I saw happen in the pods was that there was a company that came last time that had a software, and one of the members of the networking pod said, "Are you going to demo that software at the conference?" And the owner said, "I don't have that arranged yet." And she said, "Well, I know Catherine would want you to use one of the side rooms for that. She would want you to do this because so many resellers are going to be at this conference based on what you've told me." So she didn't even work for me at the time. She just thought, I have an idea of how you can avail yourself to this, and made all these introductions and then went around on this other person's behalf and gathered people so that during one of the lunch times, people who were influential, who she wanted to get to know this business owner, would watch the demo. And she is not compensated to do that. She just did it because she saw the opportunity. And those are the kinds of things that happen inside an event that really stick with people in their memory and create long-term business friendships, because you think, wow, you really went first. You did that for me. You didn't have to. And that kind of generosity is what we're looking at. It's the opposite of slap your business card, sweaty handshake, transactional sort of experiences.
Absolutely. And, it's the prep during. You make only one impression and you can't be fake either. So, it's either you or it's not you. And, no matter what your personality is, in fact, and you are valuable, you might not know how much value you will be bringing. You are surrounded by people who have already went through that curve, and so this the approach, and that's what I've seen at Growth 2025, the approach of serving. Once again, this is rare. You asked me to start with conferences. The conferences where I went there, I was selling. I was selling when I was in management. It was building a relationship, and I do mean it. But when I was selling, I was selling. I was trying to find clients or to close deals or to learn from competition. I was doing some selling type of activities. At Growth 2025, when we met, I met a complete different crowd, complete different
Mm,
mindset. And, I have to say it and say that to everyone. This is unique because
mm.
you're not here to impress anyone. You're here to really try to help many people. And we are in a consulting business. Many of us, we get clients only by referrals. And it's
Right.
only by referrals.
Which
If
is all
we,
trust. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the trust, trust. And whatever you do as a good referral partners is to bring the trust closer, faster. And what better when you are generous with your time or your knowledge or something that would be valuable for the other person. And trust me, it works. People,
That's so great. That's so great. Thank you.
yeah, people are referring you. They think of you. I would be giving my time and try to help someone. They remember.
Yeah. Okay, last question for a trade show veteran. That's what I'll call you, as a trade show veteran. These things can be tiring. They are tiring, right? We are sitting, but we're just projecting a lot of energy. We're trying to listen. It can be loud. There's a lot of enthusiasm. There's a lot of hugging and noise making going on around us in the big sessions, and they can be tiring. So, what have you learned about prepping yourself, pacing yourself, anything about the energy that's required? I think people don't talk about that enough.
One of the key points is you have to drink. You have to hydrate, hydrate, that hydrate. Walk. If it's okay to attend, listen, and walk, you have to breathe as well. You can stretch. You don't have to be in the middle of the room and stretch. You can go somewhere else and stretch. And one of the things that, once again, I'm going back to my discipline, but when I do conferences, I already have my agenda. It's already there.
Mm.
I leave room for the unplanned, but trust me, knowing what you're going to do next is keeping you very much aligned and focused. So, you will really want to hear what the speakers are telling you because they are great people. I'm planning to learn a lot during that conference to come. But the rest is, drink, walk, stretch. It's okay. And that will be keeping you up, you know.
That's awesome. I don't know if you've ever heard this advice. Follow Brendan Burchard, who's a marketing and personal development trainer, and he does 1,500 to 22 person 100 events where he is the main speaker for more than 2 days. I mean, it's just extraordinary what it must take up for him and his voice to maintain a certain level of enthusiasm. He's not shouty or anything, but there is this, very positive energy that's coming across. And one of the tips that he shares to people who aspire to perform well in those situations, which I think is all of us, right? It's all the listeners, whether you're on the stage or you're just trying to do a good job representing your own brand. He says what he's found is that starting 5 days before, he starts to pay particular attention to what he eats
Mhm.
and going to bed earlier. And he said, any less than 5 days doesn't seem to make enough difference. Like he needs to start 5 days before and say, this next thing is such a big deal for me. So think about if we treated, my conference, any conference that is important to you for your industry, if you treat it that way, you look on your calendar and just like you would plan for a vacation, because you would say, I need to be packed, We need our food. Do we have our lodging? Do I have to pre-check? Do I have everything I need? What do I need to go get in trial size? You're thinking about all the things. What if you did the same for this? What if you said, what do I need to do for myself to show up in top form, to love and serve other people? And you actually reverse engineer by what you eat, what you drink, how you sleep. I thought that was amazing advice. I feel pretty sure I wouldn't have thought of it on my own, but now that 5-day rule is installed in me. And so whether I'm an attendee or going to be on a stage, I think, am I preparing myself to just be full and well going in? And I've even been known, Michelle, like if it's a real high stakes event, I mean, I stay home a few days before because I don't want to get a cold before. So
Yes.
I'm really thinking about this thing coming up and doing everything in my power to be well. And when you prepare your body like that, I think you're preparing your mind and you're saying, this matters. I'm taking this seriously.
No, absolutely. And, what you put together are major events. And, you cannot underestimate the amount of accidents, things that will be happening. And so you have to be ready and put yourself in the best position to be able to address those. And you as a veteran of traveling as well, you can't always do this. You arrive, from another continent there, and you land up and you have to go around and do what you have to do. But it's what you say is very much it's on the spot. I will try to remember that for clients we are about to do a massive event, 3 days, and to try to remember this. It's not
The
far
5-day
away.
rule.
The
Right.
5 days
Exactly.
rules, yes. It's
Burchard's 5-day rule. I love that. I think that it's also like a body mind integration, right? It's saying that I'll take care of my physical self. And you're right. There's exceptions. We can't always, but when it's in our control, let's do what we can. That's in
Yeah,
our control.
exactly. And especially on your health
Yeah.
and time that your meals, the amount of caffeine as well. You want to be at the right level. And so, yep, thank you for sharing the 5 days rules.
That we have that. Exactly. Anything else you would like to share that you think comes from your experience for the benefit of the listeners?
When I share this, is that this event is unique on its own. And for the past, 2, 3 weeks, I reach out to my colleagues from corporation as well. And on my CEO roundtables for the CEO Fox as well. This is not only for professionals. You're going to be learning plenty of things. You're going to have full of nuggets about sales, marketing, and our buyers have changed. The way we costume changed, and you will be in a room with professionals. They are not there to sell. They are here to learn. And this is quite unique. As I said, this is a unique professional sales meeting. That's the sales meeting of the sales people without having their bosses, without having to do some work, some presentation. This is one of a unique way to meet other professionals and learn from them, or they will be learning from you as well. And, I look forward for that event. I'm very excited. I invited friends and professionals, including some of my clients that will be coming to the event for the professional aspects of the conferences. They are good humans, so they're going to do very good.
Oh, thank you. Well, I take it very seriously when someone I respect aligns their brand next to mine. And I appreciate you. Michelle often speaks for us at these events. We are, as of the fall of 2025, we're going to be offering live group coaching and training for sales professionals. So you'll be hearing more about that. Depending on when you're listening to this episode, it might already be out. That'll be offered through the National Business Development Association. So there's lots of ways we work together. I never know what people are going to say on me. So thank you for that. Thank you for those things that you shared. Thank you for your help and your support. And thank you for coming today.
Thank you. Always a pleasure, Catherine, to speak with you.